So Lauren Hissrich, the showrunner for Netflix's The Witcher, reassured us once more in a recent interview, we're not going to be jumping around in time again in season 2 like we did in season 1. But we're also getting some special time components, which I'm personally excited about and what it could mean, so I'm going to talk about that and share what she said in an interview in this video, and then speculate with my tinfoil. So in the past, I've talked extensively about how people did not like the jumping around in time in season 1 of The Witcher. I feel like people that read the books understood what was going on, but more so the people that hadn't were very confused. And to me, that's bad because you want new people coming into watching The Witcher. You want people to just be able to dive in without having read the books. So the shenanigans with the timeline was a bit much. And Lauren has apologized repeatedly, saying, we didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal. So sorry. And she actually apologized once more in an interview this week, saying, obviously it was one of the most controversial parts of season 1, and I didn't expect it to be as controversial as it was. But it's something I still stand behind in terms of storytelling. The goal was to get to know each of these characters individually, and the only way to do that was to separate their timelines. Which arguably there are a lot of better ways to do that, so I understand she thinks having them individually have their stories and come together makes it a lot more beautiful of a story, and I agree with that. Just the jumping around in time could have been done a lot better. So I agree with what she wanted to do. I don't like how she went about it, and I feel like a lot of people agree with that. Some people aren't bothered by the timeline, obviously, which is fine, but I know there was a very vocal amount of the fan base going, yeah, this kind of sucked. And honestly, if you're still confused about the timeline, Netflix's The Witcher has a beautiful, gorgeous map of the continent and also has a little timeline to tell you exactly when everything's happening. I think I've made 2 videos so far on that timeline, or maybe 1 video and I have another one coming out, but please check out that map. It is so beautiful. Okay, now I want to talk about how time will be handled in season 2. So Lauren mentioned they're going to be doing some special things with time, which I'm really excited for, but I'll tell you why after I read her little quote. So Lauren said, what's great though is they have intersected now. So what we'll see in season 2 is that all our characters are existing on the same timeline. What that allows us to do story-wise though is to play with time in slightly different ways. We get to do flashbacks. We get to do flash forwards. We get to actually integrate time in a completely different way that we weren't able to do in season 1. Because if you can imagine, if you were in 3 different timelines in season 1 and then flash forward or flash back, we would have been in 4 or 5 or 6 timelines. Even I know that's too much. So I think it will be a lot easier for the audience to follow and understand, especially a new audience coming in. But there are still going to be some fun challenges with time. So if you're wondering about the flash forwards, and this isn't a really big spoiler for the books, but if you do read the books, or you have read the books, you know this, we do get quite a few flash forwards, whether it's just a little mini chapter of some character in a different time or a time set further along, or we get little writings from future history books about the time we're exploring in the books. It's really cool. So if she would start to do that, I think it would be awesome, but I feel like that might be a little bit confusing for people. Honestly. They'd be like, wait, what? We're flashing forward to what? However, flashing back, I'm super excited about. So I will get into minor spoilers here. So we know Nivellen is going to be in season 2 of The Witcher, and we know that was a story, a flashback story in The Last Wish, and really good. One of my favorite. We didn't see it in season 1 when Geralt was by himself, and that was really disappointing, and I thought, okay, what are they gonna do now that Ciri's with him? Okay, they're traveling to get to Kaer Morhen, his old Witcher school, and maybe they encounter Nivellen, and so Ciri and Geralt go on this adventure together, but with a flashback, we know that Ciri and Geralt are not going to be getting along too well in season 2, at least for the majority of it, because they're 2 people being forced together by destiny. Ciri doesn't want to listen. Normal shenanigans, teenager, parental figure. So between their fighting, I can see them camping and maybe Geralt sharing more stories about what he's done in the past and monsters he's encountered and how he went about handling them. And I kind of hope one of his flashback stories is to Nivellen. And in the books, Geralt has talked about past stuff with monsters interacting, but one of my favorite things he ever did, I don't remember what comic it was, but he told in flashbacks him dealing with a Striga and telling it to a grown-up Ciri. So I thought that was really cool, and I had been hoping Lauren was going to do that with Nivellen's story, make it as a flashback as Geralt is traveling with Ciri. So maybe that's actually going to happen now. So yeah, I'm excited. Season 2 is going to be more linear. Like she said, we have all the characters coming together, so we don't need to jump around so much. I mean, we jumped decades at a time, and granted, they didn't do aging too well with certain characters like Jaskier. Obviously, Yen and Geralt need to look the same, but Jaskier looked over decades completely the same. I want whatever he uses on his face because... But I want to hear your speculations on what they're going to do with the flash forwards, flashback. Do you think they're going to do the little maybe snippets of future history books being written about that time period? Do you think we'll see something like, what's the show where a character makes a claim and then they do a jump forward and it's just catastrophe? I don't know what I'm thinking of. I'm dumb. Okay. Anyways, let me know what you think are going to be the flash forwards and the flashbacks. Like, subscribe, and come back for more videos.